Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel's Strike Force, and in today's video, I want to talk about the Vigilantes team. Now, this is not me, telling you every single character that's going to be on this team, although we do know for sure that Hitmonkey is going to be on this team because we did a vote. I can't remember. It was before the new year, right? Like, I honestly can't remember the date of when this happened, but there was a vote between Hitmonkey and Phantom Rider and Punisher. There was another Punisher, a woman Punisher. I don't remember her name, and I don't have the photo for some reason. But Hitmonkey did win, and this is going to be for the upcoming Vigilantes team. I want to talk about my thoughts about this team, and I also want to talk about some thoughts that I have on the potential reworks that might be coming for this team, as well as some of the new characters that might be on this too. Do take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. I'm not confirming anything at this point. But there might be some interesting tidbits in here. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Now, first of all, what am I expecting with regards to the Vigilantes team? Well, I'm kind of highly expecting it to be the replacement of Spider Society. I think because we've had like a whole slew of war-based teams, right? We've had Absolute A-Force, we had, I guess you could say Astral, right? Because it was like a fumble of Battle World, and then it became a war team. And then we had all these PvP teams with Mighty Avengers and Immortal X-Men, and now we have Liberty. And then we're going into Starjammers for what's probably going to be the March anniversary kind of month there. And that leads us into April, which most likely is going to include, we'll talk about Xavier at another time, but he's likely to pop up somewhere in that late March, early April kind of period as well. Probably learn more about that. And Vigilantes, I expect to be that team for April, which I expect to be a skill raid team. Now, obviously, this is going to be a replacement to Spider Society, I suppose. And when will we need this team? Well, I guess that means that there's probably going to be an Orcus raid 2, I would imagine, sometime between April and May. Like Spider Society already sims Orcus 1. They're going to need you to have a reason to have the full team, I suppose, to use them in Orcus Raid 2. So whether or not Vigilantes comes before or after the launch of the new raid, that part I don't know. But this is highly speculated to be the skill raid team, and what I think is probably likely as well. Hitmonkey could be a bio character, but you could just throw a skill tag on him, right? He's got a sword and a gun, and it just makes sense as far as skill tags. What they've done in the past, like with Spider Society, they just kind of slap the skill tag on characters. So this is something that I kind of want to dive a little bit further in with regards to what the possible characters could be of the other 4 that are remaining. And I was told, anyways, that there is a good chance that there is going to be at least one city villain character on this team. Now, it's primarily, I would assume, hero-based, because I don't know a ton about Hitmonkey. I haven't watched the TV show, but I will go out on a limb and probably assume that he's not a villain. And I don't know a ton about Hitmonkey, but I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments down below if I got something wildly wrong about this. But one thing that I have heard that I think is likely is that apparently there might be a city villain character on this team. And I think it's really important to kind of acknowledge this and also kind of take a look at what the potentials could be here for this. So we're going to take a look at the city villain tag. And one thing that I do want to point out as well is that as far as I'm aware, we don't have any city villain new era stat characters, right? And so Dark Dimension 8 City Villain is also a place where we're kind of lacking with characters and things. So I do want to point this out. Now, excluding all these minions, of course, there's a lot of Sinister 6 related characters that are city villain, but none of these that I would, classify or tag as a vigilante necessarily. Kingpin's a bit of a funny one because I know that he's going to be coming back for, he's not a vigilante, but he's going to be coming back for the Daredevil TV show. And I think that's part, I want to talk about this a little bit because I think that's partly what this team might have something to do with, not the Hitmonkey thing necessarily. But, this TV show is coming out in March, right? I think it's like the first week of March there, March 4th, 2025. And I expect this team to be kind of like at the start of April. So I don't know if they're airing this 1 week per episode kind of thing. It looks like it's a 9 episode first season. So this might be well into April by the time, Vigilantes and the Daredevil show could be running simultaneously, that kind of thing. And the types of characters that are going to be, or I don't know why I said that, the characters that are going to be in this show, I'm so glad that we have Charlie Cox coming back as Daredevil. I'm super excited for this show, actually. But Kingpin's going to be in it. Karen Page is going to be in it, but we're definitely not getting Oath on this team, I'm pretty sure. So, but we do have Frank Castle as Punisher coming in this TV show as well. There might be a handful of other characters. One other thing I want to point out is that White Tiger was seen in one of the more recent trailers. And so that might give us an idea of some potential characters that could be on this team. Now, I kind of always thought that Daredevil and Punisher may make an appearance on this Vigilantes team, as it makes a lot of sense. We'll talk about why this doesn't matter, or maybe we already did. As far as why the skill characters, they don't have to be skill tagged, right? Because we saw with Spider Society that they just, if they want to make a team, they'll make the team and they'll slap skill on the character. Because really, I guess skill is a really weird origin where, like, you could argue that anyone has the potential to be a skill character. And when it comes to reworks, this is kind of something that they're going to have to keep in mind of. And I just don't see anyone else on this list being potential for the Vigilantes team. Morbius is not going to make the cut because obviously he missed his chance with Night Stalkers. And so the further we go up, the less likely it is, because they're characters we've already built. They're used in other teams. And I don't see them being a rework for a Vigilantes team. I don't see Kraven. He's Kraven's skill, but I don't see that happening. And none of these other characters really make a lot of sense, except for these top three. And these are potential candidates that I think could be likely on this team, but there's a couple of reasons why I think it could go either way. Now, for Black Cat, let's just start here. There has been no reworks to legendary characters from the Horseman era onwards that have, the Horseman or the Trial legendary characters. We haven't had that yet. And so I think that this is probably unlikely. And if it did happen, it would be the first instance of this happening. So I don't know what the chances of this are. But what I think is more likely is one of these two characters here, because, they've shown that lately they've been pulling characters that are basically at the bottom of most people's rosters, including myself as a veteran player. So that leaves us with Bullseye or Elektra. Now, both of these characters could... I don't see Bullseye being a vigilante. He's more like a mercenary, right? Because he already has the mercenary tag. So I don't think that he's necessarily going to be a vigilante, but I don't know for sure, right? He is a skill character, so that kind of already kind of qualifies him for that. But whether or not it would be Bullseye, I mean, I would love to see a rework on Bullseye, because I feel like even when he had the Mercs rework with Taskmaster way back in the day, he never really got a lot of value out of that. I believe he had some sort of assist thing here on War Defense where he'd always assist Merc characters, and it was okay, but his kit just wasn't really that good. I'm not sure if he ever really hit really that hard. That being said, like, if he had New Era stats, it would be pretty funny just to see how much damage that he could do, because he was like almost like he would basically be a guaranteed crit character. The 500% damage was actually quite high back then. And if they change this to New Era stats, it could potentially, if they added piercing on top of that, right? Like, it could be really, really good. But I'm not entirely sure about Bullseye. These are just the only two other options that I would have. The other one being Elektra. Now, Elektra is a character that I honestly think could be here for two reasons. Elektra definitely is much more likely to be a vigilante than Bullseye, I think. However, you notice that Elektra is a mystic character, and so this would have to bring in the Spider Society kind of stuff where they would slap a skill tag on Elektra. Honestly, I would argue that she is probably more skill-based than mystic-based. Maybe the reason why she has the mystic tag was because way back in the day when the game started, Hand was a mystic team. And so there was a reason for this back then, but I would argue that nowadays, and in the comics and stuff, she's probably more associated with like a skill origin than a mystic origin. But maybe I don't know everything when it comes to Elektra. Also, maybe I'd be able to finally purchase this costume and get some use out of it. They seem to be pulling characters, some rework characters that have costumes like Groot and things like that. Another thing to look out for later on would be any changes in the roster poses, because historically that has also made a difference. I don't, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, I'm not entirely sure that Elektra had this kind of pose. uh, since the beginning of the game. I think there might be a roster pose change here for Elektra with that. I don't remember her doing these kind of flippy things with the kunais before, or the scythes. Sorry. I think I think we might be onto something. I don't remember this being anything in the beginning of the game. Let me know in the comments down below because I really don't remember this. So now that I'm looking at the characters again, because does Bullseye have something? Because he's a starting character. Like he's a classic character. I don't think he does. I think we might be onto something. I was not even thinking about that. Okay, that's interesting. Let me know what your thoughts are about Elektra and whether or not you think that that could be a possibility. Now, I want to talk about the rest of the characters because obviously we have Hitmonkey and that's one new character. So there's going to be two new characters and two reworks. One could be Elektra, right? And so who would that other one be? I think it could be Punisher, but I think there's going to be two things going on. I think it's either going to be Punisher or it's going to be Daredevil. Now, if it's Elektra, I don't think it's going to be Daredevil as the rework. I think we'll see a rework for Punisher and a new Daredevil character. That's just my thoughts, because then they could easily just make a new Daredevil. They could keep the bio tag, or they could do bio and skill, right? They could do whatever they want with a brand new version. I think also being the headliner character of the Daredevil Born Again series, I think it would be very appropriate, and it would be really cool to see this as a new character, get a brand new kit. That would be really great to see. Punisher has this inclusion where he kind of he punishes villain type characters, so this could work really well against the raid. They can obviously just load the raid up with villain characters. He gains 50% damage against villain targets. He also gives buffs to city hero allies against villains. They could easily rework that though to the Vigilantes team, where Vigilantes gain, X% damage against villains. They could easily do that too. So there's lots of things they could do. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the best kit. Now, originally, Punisher was part of that. Well, he was part of the Defenders plus Punisher, and then they put him into the Skill military team, where they added some stuff where he would steal positive effects and it was a horrible team. I have a video on my channel somewhere about the Skill military, years and years ago. I think it was 2021 now. It was not a fun team. I didn't like it. It was supposed to be anti-marauders back then, and so I would really love to see some new stuff for Punisher. Now, as far as Daredevil goes, he is favorited here, but so the reason for this is because he's also on Shadowlands, and both him and Elektra are on Shadowlands. And so would they both get a rework, being that they're from the same team? It's possible. They did this one time that I'm aware of with Captain America and Captain Carter from Rebirth, and they moved them both to Out of Time. So it's not impossible, but they would have to give Daredevil a skill tag. They'd also have to give Elektra a skill tag. So if those are the two reworks, maybe we would see a brand new Punisher and not a brand new Daredevil, but I would personally rather see a brand new Daredevil than having this one reworked. That's just my thoughts. I know I already have two T4s, so that would really help if he did get reworked, but I'm not entirely sure that that's going to be the case. Who knows? Maybe that might be. And that kind of leaves one character, right? So I personally think that there's going to be either a new Punisher or a new Daredevil. Would prefer it to be Daredevil. And that kind of leaves one character left. And I'm not entirely sure where they could go with that. Given the fact that they're doing Hitmonkey, it would have to be something somewhat related. They tend to pull characters that are you got to think Scopely, right? You got to think what would they do? And what kind of weird stuff would they come up with? And so I think Hitmonkey might already be the kind of the weird add-in there. And so there might be something more related to these characters. That could be that White Tiger that we were talking about, right? And I do want to go back to that a little bit, because somewhere towards the bottom of my roster, probably. Where's the old White Tiger? I don't know. Right here. So I don't think it's going to be this. We didn't talk about this. I did not favorite her because I don't think that this is going to be the case. I think it could be a new White Tiger, the one that was mentioned for the TV show. I think that this could be a possibility because they are showing with New Falcon for Liberty from the movie that they're willing to basically do that. That's fine too. Include some characters from the MCU. So I think that they could just also another Shadowland character. So there's too many Shadowland characters. They can't rework them all, right? And so as far as new characters go, I could see the new White Tiger character. I don't know much about that character down here. I guess it's Hector Ayala. I believe is that the character there. So that could be it. Oh, it did not. Here, I guess it's the male version of White Tiger. So I don't know much about the comic lore of this character. Probably came before I would imagine, before the one we have in the game. Her, I think she's the latest one. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts would be. So that's kind of like what I'm estimating. And again, take this with a grain of salt. This is not confirmation that this is going to happen, but these are just some of my thoughts as far as what vigilante characters could be on this team. So my current guesses would be probably a rework to either Bullseye or Elektra, with a potential rework to Daredevil or Punisher, and then the new characters being Hitmonkey, the other White Tiger, and a new Daredevil or Punisher. Basically, whoever doesn't get the new character version, the other one would probably get a rework. Come on, there's got to be Daredevil and Punisher on the same team. There's got to be. Let's have it happen again. Defenders was a really fun team. I want to see this kind of quasi happen again with different characters. They're in the TV show. They like to do MCU tie-ins, and I think that Hitmonkey is going to be the left field pick on this team in this case. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. And of course, until next time, everybody stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.